Howdy gamers. So, hello everyone. I just wanted to give you a cheeky reminder to please rate the session at the end and keep those phones on silent. I don't want to see anyone scrolling the For You page. So, let's get into it. Who here in the room uses TikTok in some capacity? Is it on your phone, on the PC? Can I get a show of hands? Okay, great, good. Preaching to the choir then. So, and another show of hands, who here creates content for TikTok or YouTube Shorts, any kind of short form video content? Okay, a good number of you. Okay, brilliant. Okay, let's get stuck in. So, who am I? Well, I am Oliver William Walker. I am a content creation warlock who channels the game dev arcane into short form content. I also make video games. So yes, that's a little bit about me. Cool picture. In my day job, I work for a studio called Zum, and we are the studio behind Disco Elysium. I was told off because I have a really crazy joke in here. Yeah, there it is. Next, my content. So my content is 100% game development. I don't post about anything other than how video games are made. Stuff like silly jokes, like little bits and pieces that are around like how to make a level in, say, 30 minutes. That's my big series. I currently have 36,843 followers as of time of writing. I've had a handful of viral videos, somewhere between 5 and 10 that are in the 250,000 mark, and one that's done really well and it has 1.4 million views, which is super, super cool. Let's take a quick look at some of the content that I make.
What can a AAA level designer make in 30 minutes? I channeled my creativity like a true dragonborn to create this level. I wanted this level to feel peaceful, calm, and reflective. This level is somewhere that I would actually like to visit in the real world. If you have an idea for a level you'd like me to make, leave it in the comments below. Let's take a walk around. You should follow and join the design team.
So there you have it. That's a little idea of some of my most successful content on the platform. This video did really, really incredible numbers, and it basically built my account to what it is today. And one of the things we're going to cover in this talk is how you really can organically grow like no other platform on TikTok. It truly is the most explosive platform for that growth. These are some of the numbers that video did, and undoubtedly this is where the fundamental success of my account came from. But this wasn't actually the first version of this series. There's an older version of this series, and I refined it and improved it. And in this version that you've seen, it's all about the micro details. There are so many tiny pacing elements in that video. The specific wording is extremely important, and it's always down to the second on TikTok because it really is that short form content. This was also an original video concept that hadn't been seen on the platform just yet. But my background on this was YouTube. So one of the things that got me into content creation was going to YouTube gatherings as a kid and meeting people that I really looked up to, and it was really, really great. And that's how I got my start as a content creator. And I do find that background was super, super useful. And it's a great foundation for any creator. And whether you find success on the platform or not, you don't know what's coming around the corner in your future. It can be super useful. Now, before we get into the meat of the talk, we're going to do some content creation philosophy. Oh my God, I haven't updated the slides. That's so embarrassing. It's a joke. There really is a quote. So, TikTok is a nebulous and eldritch platform, but you can tap into that magic to create powerful content. Who said that is the question. It was the two-time consecutive blockbuster video game champ, Dr. Disrespect. He said that. I'm joking. He did not say that. It was micro game dev influencer, Oliver William Walker. So why am I making these very silly jokes? Well, first of all, I really like Dungeons & Dragons, and I think it's a useful way to frame our discussions. And I also think it's just a little bit of spice, a little bit of cinnamon on the talk itself. And finally, I'm a warlock. And finally, TikTok is a platform that is driven by superstition and guesswork. We have vague ideas of how the platform works and what is ticking off the algorithm. We don't really have any concrete idea of how the platform works. It's all super ironclad. Ultimately, as a creator, even with lots of experience, you will still not have all the answers. This talk is going to be about some of those superstitions and weird tricks that do seem to work. But a big thing to frame your thoughts around is it is like praying to an Eldritch god. You can place the stones wherever you like in the sand. It's raining, and then someone kicks the stone and lightning strikes. And it's was it because someone kicked the stone? Was it because of where the stones were placed? We don't totally know all of the answers. Little table of contents. So here we have the stuff we're going to be covering in the talk. So number one, the foundation around TikTok. So this is just the fundamentals, what makes the platform tick. Next, we're going to talk about a case study of my specific journey on TikTok. Following that, content creation. This is truly hands-on spellcasting. What can you do if you're making content to make that easier for you? And then finally, we're going to look at strategy, bringing it all together in a storm of cosmic energy. So cool, let's get stuck in. So if you're already a content creator, there's going to be stuff in this talk for you, but this is kind of setting the stage. And I think it's useful to inform our conversation. It's an outreach platform. TikTok as a platform is all about eyes on you and growth as a creator. The potency of the algorithm is the most powerful of any of the platforms, right? If you're able to tap into what ticks off the algorithm, which is watch time, likes, and comments, so engagement, if you're able to tick into that, you have the potential to really quickly grow an organic following. And I've never seen, it's not like that on Twitter. It's not like that on Instagram. TikTok is especially good for this. And genuinely, and you can blow up overnight. So for example, my first video, I was consistently, my first video that really hit big, it was all a lot of content that was before this that was just okay. It was I was not even clearing 500 views or 10% likes, which is a good ratio. But after my first viral video, all of my numbers across the boards started raising. And that's the power of TikTok. Next, it's driven by the algorithm. We just talked about this a little bit. It's driven by engagement. The more Warlock power, the more you're going to get. And the more time you put into ticking off the algorithm and getting that watch time, those likes, the comments, the more successful numbers you're going to see. Make no mistake, this is what makes TikTok special. So the FYP, this is the main delivery system of content. This is a little bit unusual. So it is an organic feed that is used to recommend content based on your likes and dislikes. So for example, if you continually like content about cats, you're going to see content about cats organically on the For You page. Follow it. And as well as that, on this note, followers on TikTok mean almost nothing. It means almost nothing to have a bunch of followers. It's because your content is being delivered through the FYP. And if you follow someone, but you don't watch all their videos all the way through and you don't like them, the For You page won't show you that content. Next up, it's all about short form content. What qualifies as short form content? I'd say 5 seconds to 30 seconds is pretty standard. You can go longer and that can be really good. But overall, I find the stickiest content is 30 seconds at most in length because people it's driven by that short form content, the platform. And yes, the longer the content, the more love the algorithm will give you. The algorithm and the platform is trying to get you to spend as many hours as possible on the app. So they really love it when a video is long and people watch it all the way through the app, all the way through to the end because people stay on the app. First impressions, more 3 seconds. So your content needs to stick and it needs to stick fast. People will decide whether they're going to watch your content in the first 3 seconds. It is unbelievably easy to flick your finger up the screen and skip to something that's going to be better. One way to look at this is a value proposition. I'm giving you my time, you are giving me information or entertainment. And if I don't instantly know why I should be watching a video or why I think it should be good to spend my time on it, I'm just going to go on to the next one. That's a super important principle to the platform overall. Yes, so this is a TikTok game dev timeline. So this is kind of like where we've come from on the platform, like specifically around game development. So we have the TikTok fireball, the wide adoption of a huge user base. This is the foundation that built TikTok, and it's how we got to where we are today. The first sort of game dev content on the platform was started coming up, like people sort of talking about like the secrets behind, like BioShock's classic, like the enemies will always miss their first shot to give that feeling of adrenaline. Those kind of videos started coming about on the platform. This kind of brings us to where we are now. This is like the Eldritch Blast creators, I like to call them. So these are people that are really drilling into the platform and delivering game dev content. There are a bunch of accounts now that are showing off what it is like to make video games. That is a relatively new addition. Where is it going though? So I predict that in the next year to 2 years, we will see a TikTok game development success story. And I mean this by their success was fundamentally driven by their TikTok campaign. It's not happened yet. People are getting close, and people are using the platform really, really well to market games, but we're not quite there yet. I predict soon we will be. Now, it's time for the case study time. From cringe spellcaster to content creation warlock. So this was my first ever video. I'm not going to play it because it is cringe, but something that is really important to remember is this kind of content just wouldn't work now. It was super simple, little voiceover, sort of saying who I am. I'm going to do this crazy content creation journey. And it lacks that sticky content quality that content is driven by these days. But ultimately, you do have to start somewhere. And ultimately, what you should do is kill the part of you that is cringe. No, let me try again. Kill the part of you that cringes, not the part of you that's cringe. Someone on the internet said this, but I'm attributing it to O.A. Patty Hodgson. So yes, I like to think that as a super important lesson. And like one more note on the cringe thing is like, in the context of the app itself, it's unbelievable what is and isn't like cringe. Like in the app, when you're like scrolling away, you don't feel that cringe factor. If I was to show you some of my content, like to pull out my phone and be like, hey, this is yesterday's video, you'd be like, oh, that's a bit cringe. But within the context of the app, it just isn't like that. So early on, this is some of my early stuff on TikTok. You can kind of see some of the numbers that I was doing. It was driven by video game secrets and how to make video games. We always love that stuff. Reasonable success and reasonable numbers. And it was kind of like finding my place in the algorithm. So something that the TikTok algorithm will do to your content is it's going to place it with a specific audience, right? So like by early on doing all these videos about game development, it starts recommending that content to people that love game development. And this is really important for you early on in your account. So like if, for example, I was doing like 50% gym videos alongside my game development stuff, the algorithm doesn't know where to place that content anymore because like the gym guys might, well, I'm making an assumption, even as someone that loves the gym, might not be super into game development. This was the video that I mentioned earlier. This was my first like particularly high viewing video. I think this did like 100,000 views, and it was overnight. And prior to this, my best ever number was like 30,000, like 30,000 views. Sorry, yeah, 30,000 views. And yeah, this is what built the series. But I could see the potential in this series. I didn't know it was capable of doing like over 1 million views. I never thought it would go that big. But when you start seeing success in your account on specific videos, try and recapture that magic, right? But with this came the first taste of the infamous TikTok comments. It comes with the territory, to be completely honest. And like, it sucks that by putting yourself out there, you have to deal with like negativity and people just like going crazy at you in the comments for absolutely no reason. No one asked for this, but a thick skin is advised. And I would say, don't feed the trolls, don't bite back, but we're all human. And sometimes they'll catch you on a bad day and you will reply and you'll just be like, obviously you have no idea how games are made. But kind of treat this with like a grain of salt. Like every now and then someone will catch you and you just will bite back. Okay, it's quite natural. But yes, on the flip side of that, we have People, this is one of my favorite things that happens. Like unprompted, people that follow me will defend me in the comments, and that is just that's a consistent thing that happens, which is super interesting. So this brings us to the sort of like big phase of my content journey where I was posting daily, and we're going to talk about daily later. And this is like a really, really important thing for a creator. Like posting daily is one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give anyone on the platform, and we'll cover that a little bit more later. I featured a few different styles of video and different content. That brings us to where we are today. I'm treating content creation a bit more casually. Like posting every single day for 7 months was absolutely brutal. I loved it and it was so worth doing, but these days I'm a bit more casual. And I also sort of focus on more learning content and game dev secrets. Although if you've been following my account recently, I've fallen back into my game dev memes, but let's not go there. So everyone paying attention? Everyone? We're good? Okay. Subway Surfer. Now, let's do some real magic. This is about practical tips to produce short form content. This should be useful for any creator of any level. Hopefully, if I've done my job properly, this is how to cast an arcane fireball and hit for high damage. So we've got our core components. How do we actually create content? I think content is formed from a few base elements. No matter what kind of content you're making, you can follow these tips. And I like that a lot. What is your niche? So I was talking about this earlier, but you could specifically define your niche. My niche is actually slightly broad because my account is like video games development full stop. That's what it's always about. But if you can niche down even further, maybe you're an account about like Counter-Strike mods. The more niche you can go, the better, right? Why is that important? Like I was saying earlier, it helps the algorithm place your content. For example, mine is always ending up in the right place and is performing well because the algorithm knows who to deliver it to. The more specific your niche, the better. You know, there's like a friend of mine called Zoe Bread, and she does like she wears a mask, she doesn't show her face, and she just like basically just trolls people. Like she'd like walk up and have like a really awkward conversation with someone, and she has had huge success on the platform because nobody is making content like that. Now, let's wait for a second. The 2-hour method. This is one of my absolute favorite techniques on the platform. I strongly recommend following this. So what you do is you post your content, you check it's all good, you close the app. You put a timer on your phone for 2 hours. Once that timer is up, you open the app again and you check your numbers. If your numbers are good in that initial 2-hour period and in that check, it is indicative of how that content is going to grow in the coming weeks and hours and days and such. Don't check it earlier, just leave the app closed. Like, why does this work? Like, why does the app do this? There's a theory that it's trying, if you've got notifications on, it's trying to get you to come back to the app, to keep using the app. Even if that's not true, it's still a useful technique because it frames like how, it frames how your content is going to land regardless. Next is time of day. This one is a bit superstitious, but if you look at my numbers, you can see there that my followers are not active at all at 11 in the morning. So I should never post during that time. One thing to note about the time of day thing, like it can't hurt to post like outside of that window. Like it's going to give me a slight advantage, like no matter what. But if you posted like the most fantastic, incredible, high engagement video at 11, it would still perform well. So, take that one with a grain of salt. Again, it's the Eldritch magic speaking. Now, so big shout out to my followers. Hope you guys are doing good. Sorry it's been so long since my last post. I can't sleep at night. The cosmic horror never rests. So, cut out the filler. Do not say hello. Just get to the point. I like to start videos off with stuff along the lines of like, let's break down this secret of Grand Theft Auto 5, stuff like this, Don't even bother. Don't even do it. Like it's such an easy way to kill your engagement, for sure. It's about getting to your value straight away. Work smarter, not harder. This is a really nice technique. So what you do is you search your hashtag in the search tool. You then filter this by relevance, likes, and this week. And this will give you results of the most successful videos in your niche this week. So if you're able to do this and like look at what is succeeding, you can come up with ideas for your own content based on what's already succeeding in the algorithm. I've had a video that I borrowed from the sort of more VFX industry, and that did 250,000 views. Now, everything is a remix. On the note of, remixing stuff, you have to remember that the platform lives and dies on remixing content and presenting things in new and interesting ways. The content's built on it. Don't feel like you're ripping off people's content. It just is how it is. So yeah, find what works in your niche, put your own spin on it. Stonks. Now, our final section, strategy. Now you know how to fire an Eldritch Blast. Let's get critical here. So I think strategy is something that I'm like vaguely obsessed with, like in video games and also just like life. And I think if you're able to apply like strategy and tactics to your content, it goes really going to go the distance. So a beast with 1,000 eyes. We're going to try and stay out of the cosmic for this section of the talk, but like I said, it's a beast with 1,000 eyes. TikTok is a weird platform. Sometimes you just got to channel the black magic you do not understand. Right, organic reach. If you take absolutely nothing away from this talk other than a newfound love of Dr. Disrespect, good content gets good engagement. You haven't been shadow banned. Your content just wasn't good enough. It wasn't the time of day you posted. Your content just wasn't good enough. And if you can post genuinely good content, everything else will just happen automatically on TikTok. That is what the content is driven by, and that's what the platform lives and dies on. Always focus on that. The unforgiving ocean. The sea is always shifting, and it happens fast. In my 2 years on the platform, we've seen massive, massive changes to the way content is delivered. We're seeing like sticky content on the app, so it's like stuff that you don't really want to watch, but you just like, oh, I have to watch it. It's making me feel these are like primal emotions, right? That sort of content is really big at the moment. We've also seen CapCut, green screens, TikTok Shop, all of these things affecting what makes the platform. It's an unforgiving ocean, and it's always changing. And you, as a creator, you have to ride those waves. Otherwise, in like 6 months, you're going to be obsolete, unfortunately. And TikTok is like that. Right, daily. My number one tip for this entire talk is go daily. Try it for 1 month, just 1 month, even a week. See what it's like. Content creation is a muscle. The more you flex it, and the better you're going to get at creating that content. Additionally, with that, it's a little bit cosmic this, but like there's like a theory that the algorithm likes people to post daily, so it rewards them with like additional views and likes on their content. It is relentless posting every single day. It is really, really hard graft, and it's grueling. But I saw huge, huge gains in my overall views. And I think the real skill that you get by posting daily is you get good at creating content. Sometimes I would post daily. And like, for example, last year when I was at Develop, I was outside one of the parties and I said, hey, by the way, there's big parties in game development. Like most gamers don't know that, right? And I didn't want to post that video. I didn't want to post at all that day. But because I was daily, I did. And that video did really well. Right. Uploading when you don't want to. I've said a little bit about this in the previous slides, but sometimes you will get really good content out of posting when you just don't want to post at all. By pushing through that, you're kind of showing you the real deal. Right, we're kind of coming to the end now. We've got plenty of time for questions, so that should be nice. So you will always chase that dragon of success in your time on TikTok. I remember early on in my TikTok career, I was really desperate. I was just like, I wish I could crack 1,000 views every video. Wouldn't that be so great? It'd be so great to do that. Now, if I get a video that does 1,000 views, it's a disappointment. You will always be chasing that dragon of success as long as you're on TikTok. But what really matters for me as a creator, and the thing that I really love, is making a tangible difference to people's lives, and in a very small way. By just thinking about your content as reaching out to one person. Like if you frame it as like, you've got this really good friend and they love your videos and they make a huge difference to their day, if you frame your entire creation process around that, you're suddenly really providing that real value to your audience. And if you're lucky, one of those people will one day leave a comment. And for me, those stuff, that sort of thing is super incredibly valuable. It was really cool doing 1 million views. But the thing that really sticks with me is comments like these, like, helping someone through a bad day, or supporting them in achieving their dreams. I think that for me is really where the knowledge lies. And yeah, that's worth all the Eldritch magic in the universe. Thank you so much, and we could do questions. That'd be nice. So there's a microphone coming around if you have questions. Yep, great stuff. Thank you.
Hi. So that was really cool presentation, but I have a question about the technicalities of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine that most of us have to do our daily jobs as well, and content creation can take a lot of time. How do you manage that, and how much time do you spend every day creating? And do you have some tips for making this more efficient?
Yeah. So recently, there's been a really big trend in what's called like a CapCut green screen video with a caption. So it's literally a clip from like The Office, or could be literally anything. And you add your own background and you add your own caption. And some of my best videos recently have been these extremely easy to make videos. You can literally make them in like 10 minutes. It can be done. As for like back before these videos and how I handled that, you're absolutely right. It is time consuming and it's draining. What I used to do was I'd be on the app, sort of just using the platform as a user, right? And I would see a video that I was like, oh, that's great. And then you save that video for later. And what I would actually do when I was posting daily is I would instantly get up and I would film my own version of it. It is hard alongside a day job to do content, and I've done some brand work as well, and that's like a whole other level on top of it. I think the best way to get around this is like ask yourself, what's the easiest video I can make? Like, and as well, the time you put into creating content is not linear to how successful that content is. I've spent I remember I spent like a whole weekend doing like a Mario Galaxy level. I was like, this is gonna be great. Everyone gonna show the process. Did like 3,000 views or something, and it was like, oh, for God's sake. And then the next day I posted like a really stupid joke, like a little game development joke sketch, and it did like 4 times the numbers. And I was like, well, such is the nature of the beast. But yes, I hope that answers, and feel free to get in touch as well if you'd like more specific tips. Thank you. Any more questions? Yep, couple more. Great. Keep them coming, because my presentation was a bit short.
Hello, hi.
Hi there.
Can you elaborate on the 2-hour method, please?
Oh yeah, I can go back to that.
Because I tried something out and I'm not sure if it matches your 2-hour method.
Yes. So to totally break it down, the way I do this, post a video.
Yeah.
I check it on my page, see it's all right. I then close the app, and I won't open the app at all for 2 hours. And then after 2 hours, I can check the app. And if you see good numbers in that window, that's like your opening window, that defines how well the content will do. If you succeed in that 2 hour window, you're going to succeed significantly long term. For example, for me, between 2,000 and 5,000, that is going to be especially if it's towards the 5,000 mark. If you get 5,000 in 2 hours, like that content is going to go to the bank and back. So
Perfect.
Yeah, it's a really good technique.
Because I actually accidentally tried it on my first few days of creating content on TikTok, and I was abroad, so I was naturally busy. I couldn't open the app and every half an hour. Came back 2 hours, and I could see, okay, this is a great indication, but it's nice. It's an official.
It's a thing, yeah.
It's an official thing, yeah.
It
wonderful.
is. It's one of these, like, it's vaguely superstitious, right? Like, there's no, TikTok has never said this works, right? But it does seem to generate results. I really like it as well. I think if you were making any kind of content, I would recommend the 2 hour method.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No trouble at all. Thank you so much. Hi.
Hey, could you describe your process for creating the videos themselves? Like, have you got any workflow tips? Are you editing on PC or?
I do all kinds, because I only showed off the particularly uncringe content in this video to appear professional. But It depends on what I'm creating. So like I do like there's like some like lip sync videos like to like trending sounds, and then you have like a silly little game development joke like, oh crap, I wiped my project or whatever. And then you have the more like polished videos like the AAA level designer series. I think the best way to create the content is to use the app as much as possible. It helps, it streamlines the process, it keeps it quick, it keeps it lightweight. But if you want to do something more complex and more polished, like the AAA series, it's worth using stuff outside of it. So like screen capture tools, and I actually use Adobe Rush, which is like a really lightweight version of I forget Adobe's
Premiere.
Yes, it's like a lightweight version of Premiere, exactly. But I think the thing about being a content creator and this sort of thing is like, what works for me might not work for you, right? And specifically because we're making different kinds of content. But those would be a little couple of tips for you.
Cool,
And as
thank
well,
you.
you can feel free to reach out as well if you like more information.
Thanks for the talk. That was really interesting.
No trouble. Thank you.
Have you noticed recently, like kind of across the board, views dropping at all? Because I've had, I manage a few accounts at work, and I've had a similar sort of viral video, like 300,000. I've never managed to get that again. And since posting over the last like few months, views were just significantly dropping where they would have been kind of good before. Have you noticed that as well?
I find because you do see this like every now and then, like people are like, oh, what's going on with the algorithm at the moment? If I was feeling particularly superstitious, I think it's down to like what TikTok is prioritizing on the platform. I think the reason the CapCut green screen videos are doing really well at the moment is because TikTok wants to make that a big format of videos on the platform. The algorithm knows in the video post, they know how it's made, right? Using CapCut and the green screen tool, they're pushing that content because they want to see that kind of content become a meat of potatoes in the platform, right? That would be one aspect of it. Another aspect is certain content does well at certain times, right? Like if you're doing something that worked already, the audience might have moved on, like they might not be interested in that kind of content anymore. But I would lean more on the cosmic for that one, to be honest. Yeah. But, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
How important do you think the opening thumbnail or static is to your TikToks? And is there any tips you would want to share for creating them?
To be candid, not at all, because it's delivered through the For You page. And on the For You page, you'll never even see it. The thumbnail is, if I was going to give some tips on thumbnails, like pick a format for them, pick a specific font that you use, and that's like, someone jumps onto your page and it's all the same. It creates a nice uniform stuff. But no, I think it's not like YouTube where thumbnails is like a big deal. Because the content is delivered organically through the For You page, they'll never even see most people will never even see the thumbnail. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
No trouble, thanks. Any more? Yeah. Oh, hello.
Yeah. Just wondering, you mentioned about posting daily, and would you say, like, in terms of the quality of the content, then does that not really matter as much if you're doing it on a daily basis? And also doing it more than like twice a day, for example, are there any advantages in that? Yeah,
if you could manage twice a day, it can be even. It increases the potency even more, right? Of that, you're probably not going to get better at content creation by posting twice a day, but the algorithm will notice and might push your stuff more. There was a second part of your question.
It was about the quality. Basically, if is it better to post, let's say, 5 times a week, higher quality, or 7 times a week, crap? Not necessarily crap.
No, I get it. So this is really interesting. There's actually not a correlation between successful content and quality. There just isn't. Like, if you look at like my account and like what videos have done well, the time and the hours and how professional the content is it doesn't actually correlate to successful views, right? Some of my work, like videos that I'm like, I hate this video, but I've got to post today, so I've got to post something. It's just great, and you just left there like, wondering like, why did I just spend a whole weekend making a Mario Galaxy level for it to do like rubbish numbers in comparison to, just silly game development memes. It's really odd, and it seems backwards, like, and it does feel like that. But yeah, like, ultimately, what it boils down to is like, sometimes people like dumb content, and that's fine. Yeah.
Thank you.
No trouble.
Basically, when it comes to the cringe factor of TikTok, like, it hits me hard. Like, as soon as I open the app and I see someone reacting to something, I'm like, turn the app off. I can't even. How do you get past that? Even like posting is like, I can post things where it's not me in it. Don't mind that, but like, how do you get past that initial sort of just embracing the cringe?
That's a good question. I think naturally I'm quite cringe, so we live with that every day. But I think it's like cold water, right? Like, once you've shocked your system and you've become acclimatized to it, you will get past it. And if you do struggle with that particularly, like, make content that doesn't lean into it too much, right? Like I love this, like, the sort of almost persona like characters that I do on my TikTok. I really I enjoy doing that, but that's not for everyone, and not everyone's going to like that content, and especially not everyone's going to like making it. So find what works for you, and ultimately, like, if you don't want to be on camera and it does make you feel like that, you could either jump into it and face it, or you could work that into your content style, right? You could be all like game engine footage if you were a game development account, or for example, if there's plenty of different examples, but yeah, my advice to you personally would be just keep going until you desensitize yourself. Yeah.
My question is really about, do you have any rough percentage of like viewers that will come off of the platform to go to maybe your other platforms to diversify, or potentially even to, if you were promoting a game, your own game, what kind of percentage of viewers do you think will actually follow through?
Saw some numbers on this actually, digging in my brain for these exact numbers. They weren't great, to summarize them. I also think there was actually a cut slide from this presentation about this. I think TikTok has quite bad click-through rates. I think there's something inherent about the platform that people don't want to, they're on TikTok to watch TikToks, and it's so easy to skip, right, ads and branded content. When I've worked with brands, click-through rate is just not what the platform is good at. Like, if you really need click-through rate, I think YouTube is like a better bet. If you want organic growth and engagement and eyes on the content, TikTok blows it out of the water. Specifically, I've had this challenge with brands. Like, I'm just like desperately doing everything I can to frame the content in a way that gets that click-through. It is really, really difficult. But specifically on games, I think if I was going to tackle a TikTok game, which I'm like potentially like hoping to do, like a little side project kind of thing. But if I was going to if I really want to click through, I would make it a free mobile game. You've just seen a TikTok about the game. You go to the App Store, you download it, you play it straight away. There's as little barrier as possible. Like, I actually think that would be really good. Like, a friend of mine, Sophie, she made a game called Hook Up, which is a mobile game. And she did really well on the platform. She got a few videos. I think she clocked over 1 million views on a few videos, 250,000 on loads. And I think she did really well off the back of it. And I think that's because it's mobile. That's just some superstition for you, as is a theme. But yes, that's kind of how I see that. Cheers. Great. Okay. Thank you ever so much, and have a good one. Cheers.